now that we've learned all of those cool and interesting things about snowflakes, we are going to be creating a snowflake together today. So we are going to be creating what we learned was a dendrite snowflake. And the dendrite snowflakes, in my opinion, are the prettiest snowflakes. I think these are just so pretty. And I know you're looking at this and thinking, this is going to be way too hard to draw. But I promise, if you just listen and follow the directions, it's actually a whole lot easier than you would think. So get your pencils. Make sure your paper is going tall today. Nice tall portrait. We don't want it landscape. Remember, landscape is long. Portraits, you need to sit up tall. Portraits are tall, landscapes are long. Okay, so you got your pencil, you got your paper, and the thing we're going to do is we are going to start by drawing a vertical line. So put your finger up here near the top of your paper, and then put your finger down here at the bottom of your paper. Okay, so I've got about I can fit 3 fingers. If I fit 3 fingers, I want my 1, 2, 3. So lift up those 2. That's about how tall your line needs to be. And again, put my marker down. Okay, about 3 fingers. 3 fingers from the bottom, 3 fingers from the top. And you are going to draw a vertical line down. Now, again, does it have to be perfectly straight? Nope, doesn't need to be perfectly straight. Doesn't need to be perfectly straight. Okay, so now that we got our vertical line, now we're going to be drawing 2 diagonal lines. So we want to come over about right here on our paper. Okay, and we're going to draw this line down to about right here. Okay, so I don't want from like corner to corner. Okay, I want to come down about 1/3 of the way down and 1/3 of the way up. And I'm gonna make myself a couple dots so I know where I want my line to go. So if you want to draw a couple dots to help you figure out where your line needs to go, you can go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to connect my dots. And again, this line does not need to be perfectly straight. It can be a little crooked. Mine is definitely crooked. That's okay. Okay, then we'll do the same thing. I want to come over, we'll make a dot there, and then we'll come up and over and make a dot there. So this time, 1/3 of the way up, 1/3 of the way down. Now this time when I draw this line, it needs to go right through the middle here, okay? So I'm going to draw right through the middle, just like that. The whole point is that we want these little triangles here, these little wedges, like look at pizza slices. I want them to be about the same size. Okay, they don't have to be exactly the same size. I just want them about the same size. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we are going to draw a circle right here in the middle. Okay, I don't want to make it really tiny because I'm going to add some details in the middle. So I want to make it big enough that I've got room to draw. So I'm going to start, again, about 3, about 3 finger widths up. And I'm going to draw a circle. Doesn't have to be a perfect circle. Just going to draw a circle. It should be about the size of the palm of my hand. See the palm of my hand? That's about how big my circle should be. Okay, now we're going to add a couple more details before we actually get to turning this into the dendrite. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this one over to the side a little bit because I'm going to be rotating this one around, okay, because I want to be able to look at it, look at each wedge. I'm going to be looking at each of these pizza slices. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up and I'm going to put a dot right up here. Then I'm going to draw 2 diagonal lines going towards V lines. Okay, so it's going to be an upside down V, 2 diagonal lines, just like that. And there should be some room between the circle and the bottom of these lines. Okay, so now I've got, see the diamond I just drew here? If you remember the snowflake we did last year, we drew these. So we're following some of the same steps if you were here last year and remember the snowflake we did, although it's been a long time, but that's okay. So after I draw this one, I'm going to rotate my paper around. So now I'm looking at this wedge. And again, I'm going to start by making a dot right in the middle. But now this time, I'm going to connect this dot to this upside down V, okay? And then I'm going to draw a diagonal line down to my other line. So now, see how I made kind of a capital letter M? The letter M doesn't have to be perfect. We're just learning. Okay, so now I'm going to twist it. So now it's landscape. And again, same thing. Start by making a dot. Connect your dot to the other upside down V we did. And then I connect it to the other side. Upside down V makes that diamond in the wedge, makes a diamond. And you can see how it's starting to look like a star. And that's going to form this star right here. Okay. And then I'm going to twist it again. And again, come up and make a dot. Connect my dot to the V beside it, upside down V beside it, and draw my other diagonal line. And I'm just repeating these steps over and over again. Okay, again, following the same steps. Put the dot, connect it to the diagonal line over here, and then connect it over here. Okay, and then when I turn it one last time, you can see I've got 2 diagonal lines going here. So when I do my dot this time, I got to connect my dot to each of those lines. So it makes one giant star. And it, again, doesn't have to be perfect. Mine's not perfect. It's far from perfect. But you know what? Every snowflake is unique. And that's okay. So get your star done, and then we're going to do another step. Okay, now what I'm going to do now is on each of my lines, I've got 6 lines, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to be drawing 2 letter V's, okay? So watch, I want them to be shorter than, see how I've got a V right here? I'm going to make them shorter. I'm going to do 1, and I'm going to do another short one on top. Okay, kind of looks like a tree with no leaves on it. Okay, kind of looks like a tree with no leaves. I drew 2 letter V's and made them shorter. They get a little bit smaller as they go in. Okay, and then again I'm going to twist. So I'm looking at this line and I'm going to make 2 letter V's And again, they get shorter. They're getting shorter as they go in. And you can see how when we're making this snowflake, we're following the same pattern every time. So what I do one time, I've got to do 6 more times, okay? Make my V's. And doing that, going around in a circle and following a pattern, circle is what we call radial balance. And radial just means round, okay? So it's in a circle, it's round, and it has balance because it's got the same thing on every side. So there's something new we learned today, radial balance. Okay, twist it again. 2 more V's. Now, if you've hang of this and you want to go faster than me, go right ahead. You guys can go faster than me once you've got the hang of it, because we're just following the exact same steps. Twisting it, looking at the line, drawing 2-letter V's, and they get smaller as they go towards the top until we get to the very last one. And then we are finished with this step, and we're back to the beginning. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do now, we're going to go back to our circle. Okay, we're going to go back to our circle. And I want to change the color of my Sharpie so you can see what I'm doing. So give me a second. Let me grab me a new Sharpie. I'm going to go ahead and get me a couple new Sharpies so you can see what I am doing. Okay, so I'm going to change colors so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Okay, now I'm going to be working with the little pie right here we made, because we got our circle and it's like pieces of a pizza or pizza of a pie. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be drawing diamonds in each of these pizza slices. So watch carefully. I'm going to start by drawing a V down here at the bottom. See how I drew my V? We'll zoom in just a little bit so you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. Started with a V. Now to make the top of the diamond, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up and I'm going to make a dot, and then I'm going to connect each side to my dot, and I've made a diamond. Okay, if you didn't catch that, watch again. I'm going to move to the next one. Start by making a V down here at the bottom of the slice of pizza. Then right in the middle of the V, I'm going to come up and make a dot and connect my dot to each side of the V, and that makes a diamond. Twist again. And again, follow the steps. Make a V. Come up above, make a dot. Connect the dot to each side of the V with an upside down V, and I've made a diamond. And we're going to follow the same steps. Again, radial balance. Radial balance means it goes in a circle, and whatever we do to one side, we have to do all the other 5. And I keep twisting, drawing a V, making a dot, connecting my dot to each side of the V with an upside down V, and it makes a pretty diamond or a rhombus. You may have heard that shape called a rhombus. Same shape, 2 different names, kind of like the color violet and purple. Same color, 2 different names. Same shape, 2 different names. And now I'm back to the beginning. Okay, so I'm going to stay zoomed in because the next part of our snowflake is going to be in this section right here, in our star, inside of the star. So I'm going to stay zoomed in so you can see what I'm doing. But I am going to change colors of my Sharpie so you can see a little bit better. Okay, you should have your diamonds done. If not, keep working and just listen, look up and watch every now and then so you can see what I'm doing. Now I'm going to be adding in these shapes right here. See these white right here? I'm going to be adding in these white shapes. So it's just going to be kind of like not really a bubble letter V because they're kind of squared off, but basically a bubble letter V, okay? So I'm going to start down here at the bottom, okay? So it looks like a V, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw another V inside of that one. So I start with my letter V. Okay, now watch what I do. Along this line, I'm going to draw a little line going up and a little line going up. So it kind of looks like a deer with antlers. At least that's what I think of, or maybe like a fox. Not really sure. Okay. Now, watch carefully. From the bottom of my V, I'm going to come up just a little bit and make a dot.
Please pardon interruption. Please pardon interruption. The leadership meeting is now started. You need to log in and ask for the leadership team members to the faculty need to stay there.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect that dot to these lines I just drew. And see how I made a big V? Made a big V. So you go ahead and try that. Okay, so then I'm going to twist my paper again. Always twisting so it's easier for me to draw. Start with my letter V. Draw some lines going up along these two lines. Make a dot right above the middle. Connect my dot to each of the lines. Okay, I'm going to twist my paper in. Start with a V. Draw two short little lines going along the two edges right here. Make a dot. Connect the dot to each of those little lines. And that to be perfect, obviously. This one looks more like an L than it does a V, and that's okay. Snowflakes are unique. Doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing ever has to be perfect. With a V, draw two lines up. So it kind of looks like a deer or a fox. Make a dot above the middle of your V, and then connect. One more. Draw the V. Two lines up. Dot in the middle. Connect your dot to each of those little lines to make your V. And we've got one more. Start with a V. 2 little lines along the edges. Make a dot. Connect your dot to each of the little lines. And now we can rotate it back to the center. And I'm going to stay zoomed in a little bit because the next thing you'll need to see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to trade markers again. Go back to my green. So finish all of your V's, and then we're going to move on to our last step before we start coloring. Okay, now, I said before that these kind of look like trees that don't have any leaves on them. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of add some leaves. So watch the first time, just watch the first time at what I do, okay? So I've got that upside down V right here on the outside, okay? So I'm going to start. I'm going to make a little line up. Okay, so I didn't start right there at the line. I came over a little bit. Now watch what I do. I'm going to draw a curve around this line. So I'm going to curve around, and then I'm going to come up a little bit, curve around the top, curve around this edge, draw down a little bit, straight line, curve around, and then bring it down again. So see how I kind of added some leaves around it? You guys try that. I'm going to give you guys a few seconds. Start a little bit away from your middle line, come up, curve around, come up, curve around the top, curve around, come down a little bit, curve around, and then back down. And we're going to do that for the rest of the 5 sides because, again, that's what radial balance is. Making everything look the same in a circle. Okay, so I'm going to twist it. So I am now looking at this little leafless tree. And again, I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm going to come over a little bit and make a little line up. And then I'm going to curve around, draw up just a little bit, straight line up, curve around the top, curve around that one, come down a little bit, curve around, and then back down to there. Twist my paper again, so I'm now looking at one of my little leafless trees. Come up a little bit, curve around, up a little bit, curve around the top, curve around, come down a little bit, curve around, and then back down to the bottom. And again, if you've got the hang of this, feel free to go faster than me. I'm going a bit slow so that everyone has a chance to get caught up. But if you want to just keep on going, if you've got the hang of it and know the pattern, you are more than welcome to work faster than me. I'm going to twist. We'll come up a little bit. Curve around the bottom. Straight line up just a little bit. Curve around the very tip, curve around, down a little bit, curve around, and then back down to the bottom. 2 more. So I'm going to twist, come up a little bit, curve around the bottom, come up a little bit, curve around the next one, curve around the top, curve around, come down a little bit, curve around, and then back down to the very bottom. Then I've got one more and I'll be done with this part. I come up, I curve around, come up a little bit, curve around the very tip top, curve around, down, curve around, and back to the very beginning. And now my snowflake is finished drawing, but now we've got to color it in. Got to color it in. So once you're finished, go ahead and put your pencil up, and the only color we need today is blue. So get your blue marker out once you have finished all your steps. Get your blue marker out. Now, this one is going to be a little bit different because we aren't going to trace over every single line we drew. I've got this sample that shows us what we're tracing. Okay? So we're going to be looking at this and my example, because my example has a ton of lines on it. But these are the only ones we're going to be tracing today. Okay. So once you're done, get your blue marker out, and we're going to start, and we're just going to do the little diamonds first. Okay. So you're just going to trace the diamonds with your blue marker, those little diamonds inside of the circle. Those 6 little diamonds. Okay, trace your 6 diamonds and then stop. Okay, the next thing we're going to trace are those bubble letter 3D looking V's that we drew. Okay, so in my picture, it's the light blue ones. Okay, so I'm going to trace those with my blue marker. All 6 of those. And again, when you're tracing, try and color them in, because these actually stay white in our finished picture. So try to just go around your pencil line and don't color them in. Okay, so we did the diamonds and we did the V's. Let's go ahead and get those done. And then we'll show you the last thing we're going to trace. Okay, we're going to be tracing around those curved lines that we just did, and then we're going to trace the upside down V in between them. So watch carefully. I'm going to start with my little tree that I did. I'm going to come up, go around, up, go around again. I'm just tracing over all of these lines that I've already done. Okay, now I'm going to trace the upside down V to my other tree. Now watch, I'm going to stop when I get to this line here. Okay, I'm going to zoom in on this so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Okay, so you see how I still have a little bit of this purple line here, but I didn't trace it with my blue marker. I stopped at my tree. So now I can go up and around. And then I come down up at the V, do my upside down V, and again, I'm going to stop where I meet that little line. I don't come all the way down. Now, if you come all the way down, is that okay? Absolutely. Because again, all snowflakes are different. All snowflakes are unique. Your snowflake shouldn't look exactly like mine. Even though we're all following the same steps, they're going to look a little bit different, because when snowflakes are made, it's the same steps that make a snowflake, and yet they all turn out different, because every one of us is different, and we're going to draw things just a little bit differently than the person beside us. And that's okay. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be unique. If we were all the same, the world would be very, very boring. So again, once you've got the hang of this, you just keep going. Just keep going. If you're working faster than me, again, you know, always fine. Last thing I do is connect back to the first one I did. And that's all we have to trace with our blue marker. That's the only thing we're tracing. And we're probably not going to have time to color these in, but when you get back to class, if you've got time, you can color it in and make it look this one. But they're pretty even if they're not colored in. So finish tracing, and then when you're done, you put your marker back in your bag, and we are done for today. So I hope you had fun learning about snowflakes and learning how to draw a snowflake today. And until next time.